Hey guys, and welcome on back to Building with Whip. Today, we're doing a world tour for episode 125, and Jansey here has been kind enough to join me for this. So thank you so much for joining, dude, and welcome to the world.
Well, thank you for taking me around the world, fWhip. Looking really forward to this one.
Yeah, no, so right here, we're actually starting out at World Spawn. For everybody who wants to download the world, there will be a world download available. You guys will start right here, so that's super cool. And then yeah, I know you've seen a little bit of this world, but this guy right here is the first city I built up called Papyrus. We've come back to it like 4 different times, and I figured we could kind of stroll through it, go see what's going on with it, and then, yeah, just kind of tour around the place. So, sound like a good plan?
It sounds like a fantastic plan. I've seen what you've done with this world, and I'm little bits and pieces. So now I get a tour from the man himself.
You get the full picture. Perfect.
Oh, man.
So we do have a little bit of a texture pack on here for everybody who's watching it from Jansey's side of things. We got a few texture changes, trying to keep it as vanilla as possible, but a few little things that just needed to be changed around. And yeah, so this guy over here, though, is the most recent area that we started and got everything set up here for the Oasis down here. And I really like this one because I tried really making like the desert feeling really disappear as soon as you step down this area. Like everything down here is really lifelike and everything. I just thought it was a really cool way of doing everything and really crammed together and just life all over the place. I felt like it was a cool transition away from the desert atmosphere we have here. None of the interiors down here really have, or none of the houses really have interiors in this area. That's something I need to come back and do, and I'm terrible about finishing those. But everything as far as like the shops go and all the market stalls and things, I try to include at least something in them. And then places that are like open air and don't have like a door on them, I try and throw an interior in, like this big old windmill right here behind us. First ever vertical windmill I've ever tried creating.
It's the first ever one I've ever seen in Minecraft. That's what I think of this area. Whenever I've seen this area, I've seen those. I'm like, that is genius right there. It's so different.
Yeah. I will be honest, I stole that one from Age of Empires 2. If you ever played that game growing up, that's exactly where that windmill came from, but I think it worked out really well.
You got to steal stuff somewhere, else the world won't look anything like it should. You know,
yeah, it's called inspiration. It's great.
Yeah, everything goes under inspiration.
But yeah, so we got this little guy in here. This is like one of the only interiors, and it's just kind of a little sawmill area with some hay bales off to the side, ready to turn into grain, and farming tools and whatnot back here for the little fields down in this area. But we got some cool stuff over here. Back here, we got a lot of little hidden areas you can walk around in, get behind, and kind of see these little forest areas. Ignore all the string floating. It's so that the vines don't grow everywhere.
Oh, I totally get you. You're talking to a string overuser right here.
Yeah, okay, fair. I think I've seen you use a fair amount yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I really like the idea for this desert city being really small, cramped corridors, like really small walkways in between everything, so there'd be as much shade as possible as you're walking around on the streets. And as soon as you kind of break free, you come out into that harsh desert sun. But I want to try and keep the sun out from the streets as much as possible, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I think you've nailed this desert city vibe, like the running across roofs and everything that we can actually do right here. Like this,
it's Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, it is. It's practically Assassin's Creed right here, where you can literally do the whole city as a massive parkour course. It's awesome.
Yeah, if you want to just jump down and assassinate some guards walking by, you can do that. You know, it's pick your own journey type thing. It's perfect.
Yeah, I think you've nailed that 100%. I mean, the trees, the nature in it as well. Like deserts, there's a lot that you think you can't do in a desert, but there's a lot you really can. I think you've got that on point. I mean, an Oasis obviously is exactly where you'd get the most nature, and I think that's at least that you could do in Minecraft. Like that is on point. The reeds, the trees.
Yeah,
Man.
This is my little Hollywood boulevard of palm trees, kind of going straight line right across the little pathway. Figured got to get a little bit of real life in here too. So, you know, we got little farming areas over here, just fields and kind of camps and places for the workers to sit in the shade and avoid all the harsh sun. But I love with the fields here of just because you can't make wheat like sit in the different stages of growth, so it all goes all the way up to the max. But I love the different colors you get from using like the carrots or the potatoes or stuff like that. So I try and mix those in there a little bit. I think it breaks it up from just being a really boring, flat, plain colored field, because wheat, as I think you agreed, doesn't really have that much great color to it. No. So it's nice adding a few little different things.
When you speak about like getting it on the different stages, I've always wanted to be able to poison it just to get it to stop at a stage.
That would be so
You
nice.
could imagine how cool your farms would be if you could just stop things like that.
Just like you apply bone meal to grow it, throw a spider eye on it, and it stops growing. I think that's a great trade-off right there.
Yeah, or maybe go backwards at least. By the way,
Ooh, yeah.
before you go any further, I just want to have a look at this boat. It looks absolutely amazing. A small boat.
Yeah, these are. This is the only boat I can confidently build, and it's 5 blocks long.
Well, listen, the only boats I've confidently built are like literally hundreds. So when you can get away with small, you've nailed it. That's the best part.
Yeah, I'm trying to work on some of those bigger boats. I might steal some ideas from you from your old 1.12 world. So
no, they're a
soon.
real good time. I mean, you've got which we're eventually going to get to your cities by water. So you've definitely got some cool stuff where you can add ships and stuff.
Plenty of plans. As soon as they announced Update Aquatic a year ago now, I think, I was like, you know what? I'm not touching those cities at all. I'm waiting for that to come out. And then a year later, here we are. Yay!
Finally. Well, that's the problem with that was I was like, I'll just wait and build a ship then. I'll wait until the end. Now I've got like 50 ships lined up for me to build.
Sounds like I got some good inspiration coming then. Perfect. Yeah, so right here we got another windmill in, which is it's basically, I think, the exact clone of the other one. I just kind of rotated it. But I figured we needed 2 down here just for the amount of fields we had. And, 2 kind of look better in the skyline than 1. So, yeah, that's the reason behind it. But we got another little dense forest area right here, or oasis area, I guess you would call it, with a bunch of life and stuff like that. I wanted to add that in. We got those a few other places around the desert city, and that's I wanted to keep it consistent with all that stuff. And then we can go ahead and jump up on this way and kind of venture into the city itself. This is kind of a recent area we built probably 2-3 months ago at this point. Could be off on that. That's kind of that's the newest area. Everything up here is fairly old. This little building we're looking at right here, I tried to make a lot of this city here, seeing as it's the spawn town, being functional things. You might get a little frame drops in here because there's way too many item frames.
I was just busy looking at my frames. I'm like wondering, what has happened to all these frames?
At this building right behind me, just don't look at it and you'll be totally okay. But in here we got right under the floor here actually is a cactus farm. So this is kind of a bunch of free cactus stuff just pops up in here. It hasn't really been running for too long. But yeah, that's just kind of sits there, gets a little bit every now and then. We got a cool market stall in here that I think I built this in like the first 25 episodes. And this is kind of a cool ode to people who have been with me for a long time on the YouTube channel. It's all people who put in suggestions for shops to add. I tried to throw their names in there. So a lot of people who were on the channel about a year ago now too, they got cool little shops here as like kind of a thank you for being involved way back then and really helping me get started out. So
yeah,
plenty of those things going around here.
It makes the world feel like all cushiony on the inside. I love it. That's I did something similar when I first started my first world with comment of the days. They're like,
oh yeah,
exciting,
we got plenty of those.
Yeah, you pop a sign up, and then like at first you don't think about it, but now like a year later you walk through and you're like, I remember putting that down. It's completely.
Like, hey, I remember that guy. Yeah, he was really nice.
Yeah.
So this one right here is actually on top of a slime chunk. So down below it, there's a little ladder hatched down there, and you can go to the old-fashioned iron golem sitting on top of a cactus for all the slime you could ever need thing, as long as you never need very much slime. So.
Yeah. And I'm sure you're not doing too many redstone contraptions around here.
I don't understand that red stuff. But right here's a wall that's going to kind of be... I'm planning on doing a big old, like, fountain garden here. I don't know if you watch Game of Thrones at all, but in the city of Dawn, if you're familiar with it, they have those big old gardens and things like that. I really want to kind of recreate my own version of that, and it's raining. Yeah. Yes.
It's got a pretty cool mood. I'm not going to lie. This is a neat little...
I don't know how I feel about the wet deserts, though.
I feel like it's me with my lack of Game of Thrones knowledge coming back to bite me in the butt right now.
Okay, well,
being smited.
You should go, if you're ever thinking about building a desert city, go look up the City of Dawn from Game of Thrones. It'll give you a lot of cool stuff. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off just because the frames went to crap. But yeah, this is getting into a lot of the older stuff in the world, and it's going to be really framey as the stuff clears up, I'm sure. But we got the old palace right here, which I actually was watching Game of Thrones, if you didn't know, while I was building this place way back when. And this is kind of inspired, or it was going to be inspired by one of their big old palaces in that kind of deserty area again. And then I said kind of against it because people were like, no, if you do a pyramid, it would look really stupid. So we turned it into a palace instead, and it's sitting on top of the mob farm, which has supplied all the bone meal I could ever need, and is the best idea ever. But
it's very grand. I like that. What's it like, 7-8 blocks tall? You've got as you walk up in the front, because I know like a lot of the time with world tours, specifically when people download the worlds, you want to fly through and check everything out. But just walking up to this, it feels so grand. You start losing a bit of the top as you start walking in here.
Yeah, I think what really did it for this one that gives a lot of that depth is by adding these pillars 1 block apart and then doing that darker color behind, so you kind of barely glimpse of that darker color when you're walking by, and it feels like everything's kind of growing as you're walking into it.
Yeah.
And I really, really like the idea that was kind of able to get across. And I thought it was pretty cool. There's one cool thing we can go ahead and check out back here if you can walk through that door. It's kind of annoying. Down there is just the looting room for all of the mob farm stuff. There's just a bunch of chests down there with old goodies. But one thing I've been
semi-decorated as well.
Yeah, it's
good job.
About to the end of the hallway. Or end of the stairs. I can walk up these. I've tried in every single one of the cities to have a map room that's like fully updated, kind of showing how it all grows. So this is the one for this area. You can kind of see where we're going to be heading off into the upper right area. You can see a big old chunk of stuff up there that will be, or upper left, sorry.
Okay, I was looking, I'm like, I'm losing it.
All the upper left, so diagonal. It's just totally diagonal. That's where we're going to go towards the end of this episode. That's kind of how I've been really watching the city grow, is through these maps. Like walking around is really cool, but something about Minecraft maps, I just really, really like seeing how everything grows. Now, the top of this guy is the only other really relevant thing. There's some palm trees and whatnot on this level right here. But I tried to make it look like at the very, very top, there's a little shrine that they're using the dragon egg to worship to, like whatever prophet or pharaoh or king or whatever rules this area. He has this shrine with the only dragon egg in the whole world. I kind of want to leave that here as like we started the world here, so we're leaving the original dragon egg in the starting.
Real cool. So. And then obviously the end blocks as well, the end rods and stuff inspired. That's really cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Looks like it's shooting up, beaming up out of the water.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a little rocket egg.
It's the only way I can make it float there. I figured, end rod would work great. But let's see here. From up here, you get a good view of the whole place, so we can go ahead and kind of take a look at this last little bit. I'm taking a look at the time right now, so we probably want to finish up looking through this guy in the next few. I can show you the first ever house in the world, but first we got a cool little stables area over here. Tried to make a desert stables, which I couldn't really find very much on. But yeah, we got a little desert stables back here, which is pretty cool. We got all of the original starting donkeys, and something you might actually find interesting as far as design purposes go. If you didn't know it, I didn't know until I figured it out. But they can't fit through a diagonal stair or a diagonal fence.
Like these?
Yeah, so get on a horse and you can't walk through there. So there's no way for them to get out. So you can make kind of cooler looking pastures. And you can make it so they're not all completely connected. So it looks a little bit more natural. And
that's easy to do. That is actually, you have, you know what, you've inspired me on like a few things here. All right. That is amazing. But like, I'm going to be using that because it's so simple. Just put it 1 block out and you can keep going. But
I will say though, pigs and cows and things, they can get through it. It's only horses and mules and llamas and stuff.
Well, I think I've bred 1 cow in my last 1 year, so we're all right on that one. But
perfect.
The biggest change that I've ever seen, and this is something I thought was impossible, is getting terracotta just behind you to look good. I thought that was absolutely impossible, and you've somehow managed. Glazed terracotta, that is.
It's only select ones of them actually work well. You'll actually see a little bit of light gray glazed terracotta around here. And I'm actually planning on using that for the port city as like a way of bordering the streets, kind of how you use the stone slabs. It'd be kind of a cool way to border the streets with those. Just kind of add a little bit more detail in like the fancy streets leading to the palace or something.
And being edgy, man. You gotta be edgy. That's how you find out new cool things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
My goal is to use every single one of them except the magenta. I just literally can't bring myself to do that.
You know what? If you do, I will have to. I don't know what I'm gonna have to do, but there is some award for doing that. Yeah, there is some award for that.
But yeah, right over there is the nether portal. We can jump in there really quick. I've barely worked on it. It's got some cool stuff in it. If we ignore the creeper explosion over here, it might look a little weird in shaders because it's a River of Souls type feel. Just kind of adds a heads up, so it's a little dark in here. Yeah, that's a very dark. I'm gonna pull out a torch, I think.
It's not too bad for me. Actually, I'll just put on dynamic lights as well.
Yeah, but if you look down, you can see a bunch of layers of glass and things like that. But the area that I've kind of worked on is actually a cool way we can transition out of the desert city because the only thing over there was the one tower and then the original starter house, which was pretty basic compared to everything else we did. But over here is a really cool little tunnel. I want to make it look like the River of Souls, like in Greek mythology, where everything is kind of broken and dead and all this dark colors and like waterways leading to everything. So it's kind of my goal to create this dark and dreary area where you kind of walk along this, quote, water, which is just the stained glass. You kind of go through these broken, rundown areas of whatever zone you're going into. A little inspired by I saw what you did with the snowy area in your nether tunnel, and I was like, you know what, I really like that, so I'm gonna steal that and kind of turn it over into the idea I was going with here. Yeah, so we can go ahead and jump out this gate into the second area.
Wonderful. So what is so we just came from Papyrus, correct?
Yeah, so that was Papyrus. What we're entering into now is called White Glen, and it's the second city we ended up building up, which is basically a village remake. I found a mending villager, and then I was like, you know what, the mending villager needs a really cool home, and I wanted to make an open air villager area where they're basically safe and can kind of hang out and things like that. So we're coming out behind the church right here, which is where the original church was for the village, and it's a little bit remodeled now.
This is completely a natural village to begin with.
Yeah,
is that right?
So everything in here was just a full-on natural village that spawned and just slowly transitioned one house into something that looked better.
Yeah, no,
I tried doing
it's awesome.
Go for it.
No, it's just cool when you can work in a Minecraft thing that's actually a Minecraft thing into a world as well.
Yeah, definitely. This church here is probably my favorite building in this whole area, so probably not the best we're starting with here. But we got another map room in this guy that's a little out of date for the old custom biome we'll be checking out later on. But that guy's pretty cool up there. We got all this stuff. And then the church in here, my favorite part about this one, which I share every single time we do a world tour, when I finished building it, a cleric villager came in and got stuck standing here and stayed there for like 3 weeks and just wouldn't move.
That is amazing.
And it just made me so happy, and I really want to bring him back and just put like blocks around him so he can't move. But I know that'd be kind of cheating at it again, barrier blocks. But I feel like it's almost worth it.
Yeah, and I mean, of all the villagers that could have got stuck, a cleric as well.
I know, exactly. It's just too perfect. It was meant to be. And then I guess the view coming out of there is pretty cool of the whole farming area.
Oh yeah.
So
the flowers and everything as well. Beautiful.
I tried doing a lot with flowers here.
This area here is when I think of fWhip, this is legitimately the area I think of. I think this was the first thing I ever saw of yours was this area. Just how you split up each piece and stuff. I was like, what? That is ingenious. That is incredible. And
I really love doing like the stone walls in between everything and making it look like really natural, like kind of olden time, like medieval times fields where they just kind of create barriers so the crops wouldn't mix too much. And I tried really recreating that here. These field walls took so long to build after doing all the texture variation in it and everything. I'm sure you kind of can relate to that one a little bit, but it is very, very painful to kind of get all that stuff in there. These are all just different villager houses. Along here, you can see some villagers running around, just being free and doing their own thing. In here, we got our lovely mending villager, totally safely kept back there. It's fine, and they just kind of stay there now.
Nice.
I don't know how to breed villagers very much, so I actually haven't added any villagers to this town. It's just kind of all the ones that have naturally bred because of it.
Oh, so villager breeding's a pain in the butt. So as long as you got yourself a mending villager, you're all right. Yeah.
I figured I got a mending villager, and then I never need to learn how to do it, and I'm fine.
Sounds like you can't really mess up too much with that idea.
Yeah, definitely. The only crop field that they can actually harvest is the one right back here. And I think my farming villager died because he hasn't harvested this stuff for a very long time, but it was their only crop field in the whole village, and I decided to leave it over here so they could have something to use, but he hasn't been doing any work for a long time. So this is kind of, I tried taking basically all the wooden houses that I did and turn them into like cool little stone houses. And a lot of these I actually tried working with like evens for the end walls, which I never do before. So I thought that was a really cool challenge. I tried working just like in whatever felt right for the shape of the house, we kind of did. And it just kind of worked out. This is the house that I lived in for a long time. So it has an interior kind of. I got to work on these whole interior things at some point, but it's kind of just a little area with a sleeping nest above a little kitchen place back there.
It looks really neat. Like I like what you do with all the trapdoors.
Like I use way too many of those. I'm so excited for the spruce trapdoors.
Yeah,
in 1.13
I'm excited and worried about it as well. I mean, I don't think I'm going to pull myself away from spruce trapdoors. I think
no, yeah.
It's going to be most blocks placed, spruce trapdoor, stone. That's what's going to happen.
If anything ever catches my dirt, then that'll be the day. But yeah, in here we got a cool little inn area. It's got some areas upstairs for rooms to sleep in, and some villagers seem to love it up there. They kind of do their own thing. I tried adding in just a bunch of beds around this area so they could keep kind of naturally breeding and spawning, and if they ever get killed or eaten by a zombie, they can do their own thing and go forward with that. Over here, we got the first horses that I ever actually tamed. The desert ones I added in later, but this guy was the actual first horse I ever had right there with the horse armor on. And I'm trying to think what else is over here. We got cool little areas down in this place.
I like these little bushes you got here.
Like, oh yeah, it's supposed to be a vineyard. There's supposed to be like, I guess, vines.
They're really cool. The little apples, I think they are, or whatever they are on the tree.
Yeah. And I guess you brought the rain again.
Yeah, and I've lost. Oh, there you go.
There we go. But yeah, I love doing like everything on its hillsides. I feel like a lot of people will make their farms and really flatten the areas out. No offense to what you did. Yours looked pretty great too. But I love working with just like the Minecraft terrain and sliding it out or smoothing it out at most to like 2-3 blocks long, unless it's kind of naturally wider than that. So this is the entrance to the village. If you actually just go straight down this road here, you'll go through a forested pathway that's pretty cool looking, and then you'll be back at Papyrus. But up here we got kind of a windmill entering into the area. I think I'm going to redesign this guy soon because I don't really like the blades on it, but it was okay for the time. I think I got
windmill blades are a whole other monster. They really are.
Yeah. Yeah, they take a while to get right. But that's okay. I'll deal with that another point in time. So down here, trying to think of what else we got would be some cool ones to go check out. I guess we can go and check out what's actually down in these spots, and then that's pretty much what the village is over here. We got a cool little well area right here, a little cul-de-sac almost. There was underneath the big tree that we had over there in that town center, that was the well itself, and I took that out and put the tree in, and then I decided we needed to add a few more wells in. So there's just a few dotted around in the little side areas with the different little village things going on in the background, which I thought was pretty cool. Let's make sure
I love your style. You've got a whole bunch of very narrow pieces in your cities. You nail that. Like, that is exactly what it should feel like walking through these places. I think a lot of the time, me specifically, I miss out on this in this type of stuff. I need to start getting some pointers on this, keeping stuff close.
I take a lot of inspiration from like things I see when I'm walking around, like IRL or just things like that. And it seems like unless it's a major roadway, they try and cram houses in and things like that as close as they possibly can, and to kind of create that atmosphere sense, whether you're playing a game or even just walking around looking at like neighborhoods and things like that. I feel like a lot of houses and whatnot are crammed in as close as they possibly can, and I really like the feel of that. Just especially in games, like we were talking about Assassin's Creed earlier. I feel like they're really, really good about those narrow corridors. And then you look at like all the Elder Scrolls games and things like that. There's always the narrow corridors that lead to interesting points in between buildings that you kind of have to go and explore yourself, and you get that cool reveal. And that's really what I try and accomplish here. Just everywhere you go, you kind of get a cool reveal around. Oh, the Mr. Iron Golem just gave him a flower.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I didn't want to interrupt you there, but that was rare. That was pretty cool.
I love when they do it. But yeah, we got our Blacksmith Remake right here. Just doing some cool stuff. I love hiding the helmets inside of these little kind of bits where I guess you would cast the steel or whatever, or cast the iron or whatever in there, and just kind of using the armor stands, and you sink them down on top of that's the only redstone thing I'll ever use. I think down under there is a daylight sensor.
Yeah, redstone savvy you are.
I had to remember what it was called. I think that's pretty bad. We got the library remake right here, and that's I think that's pretty much it for the town. Over here we got just a bunch of fields and everything like that, which are looking pretty cool.
Oh, I think really like these are my favorite part of the world, is like all this terrain stuff, man. You know that.
Yeah. I'm trying to make it so wherever you walk within the areas that I've developed up so far, there's something that you can explore. Something cool that you can kind of go look at wherever you're going. That's really my goal, is always to have something interesting to go look at, whether it's like a river flowing through our fields or a caravan off to the side or a burnt down house or something like that. I always try and add something like that into here, and I think it really turned out pretty well. But that's pretty much it for what these two places so far. So
awesome. Well, yeah. I guess this is where we'll call it an episode. But these walls back here, this is where it ends, right? Just before I don't miss anything.
Yeah,
this
so
is
right
where-
behind here is where that big port city we were talking about earlier in the kind of the ocean city, that's all going to be going back into these areas. I just kind of want to border off the current area and establish where that new one's going to go, but I want to go ahead and clean up the oceans a little bit before we move over to that stuff. So,
okay,
yeah.
Wonderful. So I guess that is the episode right now. So for people on my channel that do not know fWhip, you guys are going to go check out fWhip. You got to go check out fWhip. The link is down in the description. So go click his name. Go subscribe to him because you want to be the first few to subscribe to him. This guy's going crazy places, that's for sure. And let me tell you this: there'll be an episode coming up very, very soon of the second part of this tour. And I don't think we're going to even see everything. I don't think we're going to be able to see everything. But prepare yourselves for the next episode.
Oh yeah, next one is definitely don't want to miss it. We've probably saved the best stuff for last. So thank you everybody so much for watching. If you haven't checked out Jansey yet, go be sure to do that as well for my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching today, and we will see you guys in the next episode.
See you later, guys.
All right, bye.